Hi again, Dave Hill. Welcome to Lesson 8, Single String Guitar Bible. And this is the 8th lesson, so check it out. This is what we're going to do today. Watch my right hand here. Okay, so you can see I dropped my pick there in a few bars just to show you that I really wasn't that concerned or hampered by, not playing with a pick, okay? And that's the great thing about the guitar, is that there's so many different ways to get sounds out of the strings or out of the guitar, right? And there's so many different ways to play it. That's why there's so many unique and great players that have come out of the history of the guitar, because every person that picks up this instrument finds a new way to play it and make it their own sound and their own style. And some guys play a lot with a pick, some guys never play with a pick, some guys play with their thumb, some guys play with finger picks, some guys play with a combination of picks and fingers together. But I'm a firm believer in using all those different techniques and whatever works for you to get the most unique and individual sounds that you're looking for. And for me, I find that I use a pick for the most part, almost all the time. But I've since kind of learned that it's okay to not use the pick, and when you don't play with a pick, you find other ways to do things that give you different kinds of sounds. And so you can see when I was playing, I was using a combination of my fingers and my thumb together to get some sounds that maybe I can't quite get with the pick. And to be honest, a lot of the technique that I have with my fingers probably came from many years ago of learning how to play classical guitar pieces and learning how to finger pick. Right, now that stuff is great, and it's great for acoustic finger picking or classical, but I also found that it translated really well to playing lead stuff too. So you'll notice that pretty much anything that I use my fingers for, I use kind of a snap. I kind of put a snap in the string to give it a little bit more attack that I miss from the pick, right? The pick gives you a certain velocity and intensity to the sound that you can't quite get without it. But I make up for that when I snap the string. So when I do this, right? Now if I just played like this, just with my fingers without that snap, it takes a little bit of the life out of it. So listen. Much more soulful with the snap. And I might use a combination of one or two fingers just only on my right hand. Maybe just my second finger or my first finger. Right? You ought to try to practice using all the different combinations. You could maybe even get your third and fourth going in there, which traditionally don't have as much strength. But if I wanted to use my third, and notice I'm also using my thumb. It's kind of in a combination. I'm using whatever finger I use on my right hand and my thumb. It's like the down and the up equivalent of the pick. That would be bump, up, 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 up with my pick, but I'm going like this. Or okay? So, and sometimes you might even use them together. I like to do that too. very natural to do that. Maybe all three of them, or the middle two. But it's really natural to snap that third finger. And even your thumb gets in there and snaps a bit. Right? You'll find a different personality with each finger, and definitely a different combination. Different combinations will achieve certain things. I like to do 1 and 2 when I'm doing the top strings. Right, rather than maybe my second and my third. I could do it, but I'd probably use my first and my second finger. Okay, and I probably, of all the fingers that I use the least, it's probably my fourth finger. I rarely do anything with my fourth finger because it doesn't feel very strong, and it's kind of hard to snap convincingly with my fourth finger, you know? The only time I might use it is when I'm playing chords, full chords. Okay, so let's go over some exercises you could do. You can just about do any of the exercises that you learned with a pick with your fingers too, right? So we learned in groups of 4 and groups of 5, but check it out. If you did it like this, let's say with pentatonic, right? There's group of 4, right? Right? So it's pretty natural to do it like that. You don't want to just do with one finger, like your thumb. I mean, you can do it, it's just that you don't get a lot of speed that way. It's too slow, right? Unless you're Wes Montgomery, who played, somehow he played with his thumb and he played with the down and an upstroke. But I didn't, that's just not natural for me. It was only natural for someone like Wes, and he made it amazing. He had amazing technique for a guy that didn't use his thumb, or didn't use a pick. Now, for most people though, they use a combination of the thumb and the first finger, let's say, and then you get kind of the up and down equivalent of a pick. So maybe you go, so you have 2 notes with the thumb, and then you have the second 2 notes with the finger. Right? So you can do stuff like that, or you could even do like thirds, maybe like maybe in a major scale. That could build up your dexterity. Maybe even practice it with your second finger now. Right? The main thing is to just get comfortable dropping your pick altogether. I know I've shown you some ways of doing it while you're still holding your pick, but this is completely getting rid of your pick. Okay, so let's do that a third sequence. Here we go. 2, 3, and 4, and. So you can see I kind of switched between my first and my second finger. There's no real rhyme and reason there. I'm just kind of doing it wherever I happen to feel it, okay? But that's okay. I mean, you can work out a system where you're doing it maybe, you know, with, you can work out some different way of doing it. I just find that in my case, I've developed it naturally, and I didn't really think much about it. But if you want to really study it, then, you know, maybe do all your patterns and all your sequences with this technique and see what you come up with that feels natural. Okay? But as you can hear from all this kind of playing, though, it's much more about the attitude, and that's what I'm talking about here. This gives your playing attitude. especially that snap. Check this one out. I was getting kind of weird there. But you can, there's all kinds of ranges of expression that you can employ there. That double stop bend is kind of nice. Because now I'm snapping the strings to get that real staccato. Okay, so that's kind of, it's almost getting into country flavors now with this stuff. And you can hear when I really told you to focus on what I was doing, this lick right here is really fun. I'm taking notes out of a C7 arpeggio, right? And I'm playing them in a rapid fire kind of succession with my fingers, and I'm also adding one more note in there. And that really makes it kind of really exciting to hear because it's you can kind of float over the top, you can play it. And then when you go down to the F7, I take this shape, go down a half step, and I modify it to this. Even though there's a major 7 against this F7 sound, by the way, that's what I'm playing. I'm playing F7 or C7 to F7 for my progression here. So, in fact, this very lick is out of my lick book. Look at that, plug, plug, plug. Lick book. And it's called Chicken Pick, and it's lick number 12 in my book. It's right there. Okay? So you want to take a look at that. But it's just simply this. You'll also notice when I get into something of that kind of rapid fire speed, I kind of anchor my fingers on the body of the guitar. It makes it a little bit more consistently, I don't know, it just gives me a better attack because I can kind of make sure I'm in the right spot. So watch this. Okay? Now, you know, I rarely play with this much of my just raw finger technique without using my pick. A lot of times, I don't even know where my pick is. I dropped it a while ago, but somewhere around here I had a pick. But see, that's all the more reason to practice this way, because let's say you're on a gig and you drop your pick and you can't find it for the whole set, you're going to play with your fingers, right? But a lot of times when I am playing, I'll just cup my pick inside of my hand, and that is good because it helps you get back and forth between the techniques really nicely, okay? So I might hold it and I might just kind of find a way to bring it back out, but in this case I'm showing you, you want to just forget that you even have it for a while. I mean, you can't mention this technique without mentioning someone like the master Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck hasn't played with a pick since probably 1980, maybe 81, and you can definitely make this claim about Jeff Beck. He's one of the most unique and original and innovative guitarists that have ever been, and it's probably due to the fact that he just keeps finding ways to make his guitar sound expressive, and he hasn't needed to use a pick since, like I said, the early 80s, and it's because the range of technique with his right hand and the way he plays with his left hand offers it all to him. Mark Knopfler is another player that doesn't use a pick, and he has a great signature sound. And even if you play it with distortion, it sounds pretty good too, right? You can still rock out, right? Okay, you know what I think it actually helps you do? It makes you play a little bit less because you don't have all the chops that you do with your fingers or with your pick. But it makes you play maybe a little bit more economically but more musically. That's what I'm finding right here as I'm doing it right now. I'm using my fingers, but since I can't just play big fast scale things like I would with my pick, it makes me play differently. Maybe that's why I like people like Jeff Beck and Mark Knopfler, because they play so tasty. Okay, so I want you to start dropping your pick. Forget about playing with your pick for a whole day and just see if you can get some of these techniques employed with your right hand. Just start slowly with just a couple combinations, one in thumb and first finger, thumb and second finger, and see if you can't get some coordination. We'll go back to this technique in some other lessons and add some more to it, but right now I just wanted to give you a little taste of that. Okay, Dave Hill signing off. I'll see you on the next lesson.